A very good day to you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Candid Talk here on Herman Manyora's YouTube channel. I'm here with Professor Herman Manyora. Prof, how are you?
Wonderful, wonderful.
Because I've decided to draw back on the university funding model. They've actually now given the way for the government to continue implementing the contentious model that is working here. At the same time, the courts have also stopped the government from collecting school fees via e-citizen. At the same time, a lot is also happening within the education sector. Of course, the University of Nairobi is facing some sort of a cash crunch at the moment. Let us begin from the funding model. What do you make of it? What do you make of the judgment? Why are these things happening here? Because people are asking, are the judges in this country reading laws differently? How comes one court says one thing and the other comes up with a different thing that is not actually in the interest of the people?
You know, I want to advise the judiciary that there are certain things that cannot be processed in the normal way, as in is a normal case. It is, you queue it, then you give orders, then you have a mention, and then the hearing, and then the hearing by the High Court may say, okay, government should not do this, or stop government, and then it moves to Court of Appeal that reverses. Certain things that have got to do with the government delivering services, or certain measures taken, or certain positions by institutions should be dealt with in a quasi-judicial administrative manner, where you set a team of judicial officers with a judge perhaps looking at the issue, presiding over, and then there are other experts you bring around on board. Then they just look at things and give a considered opinion on the matter, like this funding. And then it is then left to the judge to deliver a ruling or a judgment. Because if you take them in the normal process, you stop government from doing what they are doing by giving an order. Only for the same courts to lift the orders after 6 months. So much time has been wasted. People have been disorganized, disoriented. Finances have been lost. And then only to say, no, go on. Or then the High Court says, yes, the petitioner is right, or Mtata is right. This was unconstitutional. Then it moves to the appeal court. And the circus continued. I don't think you can process matters of this nature through the normal court processes. There has to be an innovative, creative way of dealing with matters like this, where courts can establish, to the extent law can allow them, expert panels to come up with a decision on a matter. Like, now look at this funding. What are the issues? So you have experts from the field of business, from education, from politics, and then judicial officers are there. And sometimes all it calls for is just to advise the government. It's not even a judicial decision being made. It's just to tell government, well, this model has a lot of loopholes. We don't even need to take this through the process of court hearing. The issues people are addressing are clear, you can see them. This system is open to abuse. So that's my advice to judiciary is to find ways of processing cases of that nature without making them go through the normal process. The other thing on the same is that I do not believe even for a moment students in this country should be paying fees at university. I have first-hand experience, and I can tell you, you have been a student, you just finished the other day.
Yes.
You'll agree with me. The state of the economy, the level of poverty in this country, the socioeconomic status of parents in this country is such that it is immoral, it is criminal, it is ungodly to try and make these poor people pay for university education. No. What do governments exist for? Government ought to pay, ought to give university students free education. That's how it was. It has to be like that. It was like that until we listened to the World Bank and IMF. And the World Bank and IMF, doing the bidding of Western countries and other superpowers, do not want African children to get education, because then they will rival them. Education will open the eyes of Africans to the exploitation by the West and other countries. And we have listened to them. The socio-economic status of parents in this country cannot allow them, it's not possible for them to pay fees at university. So university education must be free. And therefore I'm not willing to discuss anything about these models, this model, no. There's nothing, there's no arrangement. So long as that arrangement ends up with people paying fees.
Okay. So currently we are there.
Yeah.
It's not free.
It's not free.
Still have to pay fee. There was that kind of confusion that arose from these court cases and the orders that were given that actually stopped the government from implementing this new model. And of course, students also went on rampage demanding the disbursement of their HELB loans, something which previously was done under the other model. I saw way back then, the president was like, this money has to be given out. So I wonder whether the government actually went back to the other model and sorted out the issues over the students here, or they just still did it under this kind of new model. But at the same time, all this confusion is here, and we are witnessing a situation whereby our president says he's not mad, he knows what he's doing. So should we therefore just trust him that he knows what is good for the country, he knows what is good for this?
Yeah, the president would know what's good for the country, but there will be people who know it in a better way. Yeah.
Okay.
We know it in a better way. We know that you cannot charge fees at university, because then education will be for those who have money and for the thieves. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's as simple as that. There's no debate about it. If someone wants to know what I'm saying is true, you go to any secondary school, any in this country, any secondary school, find out students with balances, with fee balances. Just go there. Just look at principals wrestling with financial challenges because many students are unable to pay fees.
Okay.
Look at how many certificates are withheld by schools. Of course, they have been told that's illegal. They should give them out. That tells you the magnitude of the problem. People who could not pay secondary school education, how are they going to pay for university education? Because you see, unknown some of these idiots, university education is not like secondary education. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Secondary education is about you paying fees, prescribed fees, and then you go to class.
Yes.
You pay fees that may include uniform. Then you go to class. Then there is food in the school you eat. Then you go back home and come back again. There is a lot more to attend to at university after you have paid the fees. First of all, a university student is an adult with the demands, financial and other demands of an adult. Requirements of an adult. He's an adult. He's not a school kid. A school kid akipewa box na kasukari kilo moja mbili atarudi nyumbani mid-term ama end-term. A university student has a lot of pressure. Many things place demands on him. You need to buy books, you know. You need to engage in certain activities, and all this cost money. You need to print documents. You need you need a laptop. You need many things as a university student over and above what a secondary school kid gets. So it's not just about fees. Get it? So even if the government waived the fees, there's no fees. There is a lot the student still has to cater for. So let parents struggle with those other things. In fact, that's why during our days, the boom was free. You got it free. Later, of course, they charged. It was free. Government gave you some money free.
Okay.
Because they realized as a university student, there are things you need to do that cost money. And then, There was what they call USAB, Universities Students Accommodation Board, which provided free meals to students.
Okay.
Because eating is very critical to someone who is engaged in learning. You get it? So now we are wrestling with fees and arranging parents on how to pay fees. We forget that after even that fees has been paid, there's so much, a lot more than fees. Let the government deal with fees. There's no fees. Let parents deal with other issues. In fact, let government give students sufficient loans to make them eat. I want government to give meal cards. This help, it should provide meal cards. You'll pay for it later. Not just money. You are given money, it's called help loans. You are given the cash. Okay? The other cash is in meal cards, for example. Okay. Or, like I saw when we were doing our masters or something like that, there is also money kept in the bookshop. A certain amount of money kept in the bookshop. Your money, you can buy books there against that account. Okay? So there's a meal card, you eat. There is cash you are given as loan, help. There is a meal card for enable you to eat. You'll also pay for it in future. Then there's money in the bookshop if you want to buy books. And for postgraduate students, there's money for research. Okay. During our days, it used to be like 18,000 shillings. It's just there. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So look at it in summary. After you have dealt with what we are calling fees, you can see there's a lot more still required by a university student. Sasa mzazi atashughulika na hiyo fees, ama atashughulika na kulisha mtoto, ama atashughulika na kumvalisha, ama atashughulika na kumpatia nguo, ama atashughulika na mahitaji mengine ya wasichana na mambo mengine haya yote na hata na vijana. It is a bigger challenge than government is trying to show.
With the rapid increase in our population and of course the increase in the number of students who are progressing to the university, do you think it's still possible for the government to sustainably offer free education in the country? More than
possible. If I say it is possible, I'll be wrong, or it'll be because I don't know English.
Okay. So it's possible.
It's much simpler than we think.
Okay. Yeah. Apart from that, I want to get your views on the payment saga that is also within the education sector. Of course, that is for the school fees in our secondary schools. The government has now been ordered to actually avoid forcing parents to pay through the e-citizen platform. The courts here saying that that particular act was actually unconstitutional, and therefore parents should revert to paying back fee how it used to be done back then. What do you, if you look at this situation, what gaps do you think were cured by the introduction of the e-citizen platform, and what is it?
You know, everything, even when we complain, sometimes we complain just because it is new.
Yes.
People always are against change, even if the change is good. So, yes, a central way of collecting fees is a good idea. It cures many problems. A lot of money is being lost in the schools. Okay. Bursars or accounts clerks. Look at any bursar in an average school.
So on
is he richer than Manyora?
So on this
one,
definitely
collect all bursars or accounts clerks from all schools. Let them queue with their property. I can't match most of them. So we give them money to steal, then pass the burden to parents. So having somebody else collect fees makes perfect sense to me. So the question is it practical?
Yeah.
Does it work? When the schools need money, how easy is it to get money from that central kit? Those are issues to be addressed. My argument has always been, since by law we already have these county education boards,
yes,
why can't county education boards play that role of collecting all the fees if we still charge? I don't believe in fees, even at secondary school level. But you told me it is there.
Yeah.
So let's deal with it. Let the county education board be strengthened, have sufficient capacity, and let all fees be paid at the county level. Let's have development processed from the county and supervised from the county. So every school comes up with a budget. The budget is implemented by resources that have been collected at the county level. And the county not only disburses the funds to undertake those projects, but also oversees the same. If you say you have 800 children and you need so much in terms of bread and meat, we can do our arithmetics and say, according to your demands, every child takes 2 kilos of meat per day. So that we shall not approve. You know, that's how accounts clerk become rich. If you look at the checks to the people supplying meat and bread, it's like every child was eating 10 loaves of bread per day. Those excesses will be monitored and prevented. So I've always believed we can check the excesses of our schools and the greed of our principals and the thievery of the accounting department through a centralized system. But again, when you centralize things, there are also challenges that come with that.
Okay. So on this, you're with the government on the centralization of the collection?
Yeah, but Nairobi is too high.
Yes.
Take it at the county level.
Okay.
And build the capacity of the county education boards, build their capacity, and have serious national audit. So that again, you don't transfer thieving from the schools to the education board.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Finally, let's wind this session on the education sector in this country by looking at what is taking place at my alma mater, that is the University of Nairobi here. I understand, by the way, I'm still waiting for my caution refund money. I haven't been given that money.
Why?
But it's supposed to be given to me because it's my money.
You go for it.
Around 5,000. We applied for it only to be told that the university is in debt of over 20 billion.
Yes.
I'm like, what is happening here? Of course, this highlights the problems that are actually bedeviling our institutions of higher learning in the country. What is really happening with UN?
It's not UN, it's all universities. And it's not universities, all institutions, public and private. Institutions in this country, both private and public, are wrestling with issues of poor governance. It is governance. So if you talk of University of Nairobi, it's governance. If you talk of any public university, it's governance. Governance in the sense that the university is a god unto themselves. One man runs the university. The university is the vice chancellor and the vice chancellor is the university. Sometimes there's a slight shift now at the University of Nairobi where the council now wants to take over the roles even of the vice chancellor and so on and so forth. So it's a question of governance. Unless you deal with the issues of governance, you cannot address the challenges. But there are also external problems where government has unnecessary influence in our universities.
By the way, how do we best stop this kind of interference between the work of the Vice Chancellor and the University Council?
You know, those are issues of governance. You draw clear boundaries. It has to do with the role, the interference, I may use the word, the government, interference from government. Yeah. If councils were selected in a manner that would not produce those the minister wants, those the government wants, then they should play their role effectively. They should be more serious. They should not look back when they are making decisions. What is government thinking? What do the minister say? They should give the vice chancellor space to do their work. You know? But if you have been sent there by somebody who has an agenda, you will even override the vice chancellor. But in other situations, the vice chancellor, council means nothing to the vice chancellor because the vice chancellor is a god. So all these things, unless you address them, but they must also begin with people going to jail. We keep saying people have stolen funds, but nobody's jailed. So if a vice chancellor has used their time at a university to put up a block of flats, and we all know the money came from the university, and those block of flats we can see, why can't we jail that former vice chancellor or that vice chancellor? Then the others will know. If a governor has stolen billions, we all know. Amejenga mansions, amenunua hoteli, amenunua nini. But we don't jail them. So we are just talking. So until we jail people, nobody will listen. Yeah.
Okay. The bigger question would be on this mismanagement and management and stuff. A loan of 20 billion for a university that is as old as UON, with all the facilities, and you believe that it may actually
even government has a role to play. Even government doesn't give the capitation they should give.
Okay.
See, government gives itself a burden and it doesn't want to lift the burden. Who tells the government they must give the university the number of students they give them? So you give the University of Nairobi maybe 2,000 students instead of giving them 500. And you don't follow up by funding the 2,000. You want the universities to look for money to pay salaries. But you don't want to give them the autonomy. When Kiama try to raise fees, again, that's another issue. So these are issues to be addressed. How much autonomy should the university enjoy? Should the university handle only the number of students they can handle? Should the government pay for its students properly? These are issues. So sometimes you may blame the universities when the government, I've seen, for example, when there's a salary increment, the government brings the money to cater for the new salaries, but they don't bring the accompanying segment, which is pension. So if you give 4 billion to cater for new salaries, but that new salary means there is a higher demand for pension. Because pension, mfanyikazi anakatwa na university inaongeza ama serikali inaongeza. So you have given the salary to go to the pocket of the lecturer. But you have not catered for the pension that should accompany that salary. So now you find that out of the 20 or so billion you are talking about, 7 billion is pension. 7 point something billion is pension. And that pension is not the problem of the university. It's government problem. Unless I don't understand it very well. Last time it was like that. It was government. The pension arrears was a government problem. But since people are retiring and they must be paid, there's a way in which universities must find a way of enriching the pension scheme through their own sources. When salaries are due and government has not brought capitation, I'm giving you an example, universities sometimes go to borrow from the bank, and borrowing is a cost. It comes at a cost if you take an overdraft. Okay. So these small little things pile up, and you find a university is in debt of 20 billion. Okay. Sometimes it is through theft, I agree, through serious gross mismanagement. But sometimes it is just through government. Okay. Fault of government, of not remitting the money they should remit. Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. Our eyes are still fixed in what is taking place in the ailing education sector in this country. And we'll keep you updated with comprehensive analysis of the same so that you'll be able to understand what is happening in our country. Allow me to stop for now till we have this conversation again. Have yourself a lovely day. My name is Evans. Okay.